I come from a lower caste background, so an untouchable background, and life was shit growing up,
Hmm.
honestly.
How did you get involved in the Sea Cadets?
I was being a dick as a kid,
Yeah.
and my mother's friends' children used to go there, so she was like, "This is the best way to discipline you," because they used to teach marching, band, sailing, and it was really bad over there. It's like if you make one mistake, you get a big tight slap on your face.
Right.
It was like military, like honestly, the Indian military forces, if some of them went to training over there, they wouldn't last. It was that bad.
Yeah. You've taken this journey that probably few people in your situation would have taken, but you've made it work for you because you've stayed so focused on what it was that you wanted to achieve. And look, I mean, invariably there are things that come up through our life that kind of distract us or slow us down, perhaps. But in spite of that all, you've kept pretty. You haven't really strayed the course, as it were. Hello, my name is Mate, and you have tuned into episode 22 of the In-Betweeners Checkup. I'm joined today with Gaurav, all the way over in Canada, who's going to be sharing with us, I guess, part of his journey, what he has sort of been through in terms of his life. And I would like to think a little bit of perspective that we can take on ourselves in terms of how we, I guess, face challenges perhaps now in the future, and make it a little bit easier to get going with life, as it were. So, Gaurav, I'm going to pass it over to you, and you can tell the audience a little bit more about yourself.
Hi everyone. Hi Mate. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast. My name is Gaurav. I'm from originally from India, born and brought up in India, and then moved to Canada and now live here. I've been a sailor throughout my life, and it's taken me to places around the world. And my next big challenge is sailing solo around the world nonstop. Challenges definitely because my parents are uneducated, they're poor. Um, I went through a youth voluntary organization where I learned sailing, and then I had to find my own way through it. And then there were other challenges with the education which I had to face. And now that I live in Canada, my parents are in India. It's the challenge of being away from family. Uh, and yeah, and no day is same, no challenge is same. It's changes, and you get through it.
There's that saying, I forget who said it, but they say, a pessimist complains about the wind, a
Yes.
optimist waits for it to change, and a realist adjusts the sails. So
Yes.
if you talk about, well, on reflection in terms of your own experience, I mean, you had this situation that you came into life and perhaps didn't necessarily have a lot of options available to you, but you took what you did have and you made it work for you. So I guess in terms of that early sailing situation, how were you able to make the most of that and adjust your own sails, as it were?
Oh yeah, it was just to like take you back. My early days, I started sailing, and then my parents moved because my father lost his job, and we moved to a village which was landlocked, and there was no water there. Uh, and I was in my 10th grade at that point, and in India, you go to a proper college in 11th grade, and 10th grade you're in school. So I made sure that I got good marks so that I could uh, tell my dad that I can go to a good college back in Bombay,
Mhm.
so that I can go back to sailing. And
Yes.
I was not a very bright student, but I did get that year, and I went back. And then the sailing had changed completely. It was everyone, because you're young, you people who've been continuously practicing learn faster and just go past you, and then you're not good enough anymore. just 2 years away from sailing, and I was not good enough. I had forgotten how to sail competitively, but and I didn't have the money because my father didn't give me money to join the sailing club. So I sold T-shirts in my college, and then used that money to join the club, and then started sailing. And I learned everything by myself. I would take my books to the boat and just take the boat out sailing and do sailing, and then study at the same time and come back. And that's how I got better and better at it. Every Sunday for a race, I would go there and I would just stand outside the club and wait for someone to say they don't have a crew and just jump on board. And slowly you went from the you were taken the first time I went. I was taken by someone who was just a sailor and who didn't really sail well, and then slowly I proved myself and went to the best sailors, and then joined the best team. And yeah, it was so in those situations it was just adapting and uh, focusing on the final goal. My goal was just being on the water. I didn't care if I was last in the race, I was first in the race, but it was just being out there, enjoying yourself, and then not keeping your eyes closed when you're enjoying yourself. You are constantly learning and you're taking away things and then become better. And I didn't know. I didn't come up sailing with having such dreams of sailing around the world when I was even there, just coming back to sailing. And that point when I had to struggle to get back into it and compete against my peers who had years of advantage over me, I think that's when I decided that I have to do big things in sailing.
Mhm.
And today, here I am. Those guys that are all staying at home, not sailing anymore. I am going for the biggest race in the world.
Wow, that's amazing. And like you talk about this solo trip around the world. What prompted that?
A few things. Um, I so there was the first Indian who did a solo trip around the world was Commander Dilip Donde in 2007, and I met him at a sailing race, which we beat him in. But I heard about his plan to sail around the world, and it just sparked the interest that I want. He was doing it with stops, and I wanted to be the first Indian to do it without stops. But then, unfortunately, like not unfortunately, but someone else got there before me because they had the backing, they had the money from the Navy. It was another naval officer who went and did the solo around the, and it always was in the back of my mind that I want to do it, I want to do it. Um, and then slowly I gave up on the idea. Um, and this came up suddenly in 2018 when the last race was happening of solo around the world nonstop, and my grandmother was had been just diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she had months to live. And it was just and one of the nights when I was spending with her, she just said, you should keep sailing, we're very proud of you because you did this, and you've been doing something. And then this race was in my mind at that point, and I was like, I don't think I'll ever get a chance again. I don't want to wait till I'm 50. I don't know
Mm,
if I'll reach 50.
mm,
Um, and it would have been so nice if I had finished that race. I would have won that race, and my grandmother was there to receive me in France when I finished that race. But that was not to be. So at least I'll have my parents now. Yeah, I want to do it now. And it's like if I have kids, if I have anything else happening in life, it'll just go away and then it'll just become a regret in my life. So something I always say, memories are greater than dreams. Everyone has dreams, but if you die, you take them to your grave. You create memories, then they'll stay over generations.
yeah. Now you mentioned, I guess you had this dream, and a few things sort of came up, and it kind of faded away, and it wasn't really until your grandmother sort of reminded you of that dream. What sort of obstacles came up for you during that process?
Um, as I mentioned, like I didn't come from a well-off family, so I had to go back to education. I had to find a job, and I had to support myself once
Mm,
I had left my parents' home. Um, and that was the biggest thing. And I had loans from education, which had to be paid off. So uh, and it was just sailing is such an expensive sport.
mm.
Like this race is going to cost me a good uh, north of 300,000 Canadian dollars, which is
Wow.
probably the same as 300,000 Australian dollars, uh, which could have been spent in so many different ways for my family, for myself. $300,000, I could do 30 years of vacations with that money.
Yes.
Um, it was a barrier, and I live in Canada now. I am an unknown entity in the world of sailing in Canada.
Mm,
In India, there's no money in sailing, so sponsors are going to be very difficult to find. There was a realization I had. Um, I had again given up sailing for a few years, so again I was out of touch, and I was an unknown entity in the market. So sponsors were out of the picture. So it's all about myself, and I didn't want to go through it. I didn't want to go through stopping my life for a few years and then start it all over again. I had gained a really good trajectory in my work life, which will stop now. But it's like, yeah, it's a give and take. You let go of something, and will I become CEO of where I'm working? Probably not. Yeah. Will I? Can I? Could I have a chance of winning the solo non-stop around the world race? Yes, probably yes.
mm.
So I think I'll be known for the race and not for working as a marketing director or something like that somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you've got to do what is important to you. And if it is to be a CEO, then by all means be a CEO. If it's not, well, what is it? And what can you do to help yourself get there? Because look, there are going to be challenges. It's not necessarily going to be an easy ride. But when you put in the effort, and I'm going to say the right effort, because I mean, you're able to acknowledge the fact that India perhaps wasn't the place where you could make that happen,
Yeah.
and kind of, I guess, adjust the sails to be able to
Yeah.
respond to the conditions. So with everything else that's going on within the world at the moment, when is this actually looking to take place?
The race is in September 2022.
Yep.
It starts then, and because it's a race without technology and with old sailing boats, it takes around 8 to 10 months at sea. Some person like last year probably almost went 12 months at sea. So you never know, but that's how the race is going to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's with all this going in the world. I think it's the best time to do it because yeah, I could have been dead right now with COVID, but I'm not, and I think I can't wait for the next pandemic to tell me that.
Yeah, yeah, and look, I mean, you talk about you know you love being out on the water. What is it? I guess what if you had to describe that feeling to someone, what does it mean to you?
Um, I it's it's for me. It was one of the only spaces in my life where I would forget everything, forget all the problems I had in my life. Um, um, I don't know. I just concentrate better on everything that is around me when I am out at sea. I can hear every wave crashing behind me. I can hear the wind coming. I can feel the wind changing direction. And I think I'm just at one with myself and just nature when I'm out at sea. And it's an undescribable feeling, but it's like being in your mother's lap. I think. Um, I don't think anything else makes me feel like that, and that's why it's just I don't care how and when I'm out at sea.
Yeah.
It's just being out at sea.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I mean, you talked about this race, potentially being out on the water for up to 12 months. What's the longest you've been out on the water so
A
far?
month.
A month. All right. Okay. So it'll be quite a transition. Hopefully you'll still love the ocean that much once you've spent that much time with it. But I mean, you talk about, I guess, that that feeling and that I'm going to say that connection you have with yourself and the environment. And look, I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with that, irrespective of for them whether it's out on the water or in nature or up a mountain or whatever it is that those people enjoy doing. They have the ability to truly connect with themselves, let go of all their thoughts, their ideas, their problems in life, and just be in that moment. And there's not really any better place for us to be at any time, to be fair. And the more, I guess, opportunity we have to be in that space, the more we can be our true selves, I like to think, as it were.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
so,
absolutely. Yeah, sorry.
no, no.
I absolutely hate being at sea when I'm doing these long distance races. Like after the first few hours, I absolutely hate being out there.
Mm,
It's I am scared of the water. I'm scared of the big waves. It's a lie. If any sailor in this world tells you he's not scared of waves in the water, it'll be a lie.
mm,
Um, so I think it's very few things in this world that tell me that I'm small, and the sea is one of them. And with merit, like I could be told I'm not good enough by someone at some job or something like that. That would be just I would not listen to them because uh, they're just people. But when you go at sea, it's the sea is telling you you're small,
mm,
and you have to listen to that.
yes.
And acknowledging that really helps you negotiate your way through and go. And that's the give and take, the challenge of with the sea, that really that's a pure challenge. It's not um, a, a political challenge at work or in politics. It's pure. And I like there are very few people, very few things that give me that. It's mountain climbing gives me that.
Mm,
I remember I went in the Himalayas, and I was going to climb a mountain a few days later, and I saw the mountain from far away from base camp, and I was like, I'm gonna shit my pants going up the mountain. But
yeah.
you have to give up to that feeling, uh, that you are smaller, but you're going to negotiate your way up. And it just gives you that. And people find that in different ways. I have a friend who just loves debating, and she just loves to fight with people.
Yeah.
But that's her way, and she finds like she's one person who can just have a debate, fight, come back out of that zone, and just feel at peace.
Mm,
And like sailing gives me that.
yeah. Yeah. So I guess for someone who has an interest in sailing, but perhaps doesn't necessarily have a clear path in terms of how they can realize that, what would you suggest to them in that regard?
I think go to the nearest yacht club, and I'm sure that everywhere you go, there'll be a yacht club for your budget. If
Mm,
money is the constraint, they all have sailing programs to learn, so you can always do that. And what's the best way to learn? Every city probably has a crew bank. You don't need to be a member of the club. You don't have to pay. Just find who is looking for crew. There are people always there who are alone, whose wives don't want to sail with them, whose husbands don't want to sail with them, and they need a deckhand to do some work on the boat. So you'll always find that on crew banks, and you can always go out, and it's not very expensive. It's an expensive sport if you want to own your own boat and do those things. Um, but I think the sailing community everywhere is welcoming. I have gone to yacht clubs around the world, being brown, being not being very well off. I have never faced anyone has said no to me. Um, so yeah, it's a place where all the rich people hang out, but they are very kind. And um so just go to the crew bank, go to the local crew banks, find someone who's sailing, and they'll take you on, because people like me are always need labor.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And I guess if we take it even a little bit more generally, I guess for those who perhaps have a vision, but have obstacles that they face around achieving that, whether it's, I guess, following through with their purpose in some way, or getting that next position within work. Have you got some, I guess, underlying ideas that you could share there?
Uh, and like there's something that really astounds me in life, like not in life, and when I read about it, I love astronomy. I'm a big fan of Carl Sagan, um, and I think about the Voyager spacecraft.
Okay.
The Voyager spacecraft took off in 1970s. It's gonna travel through space and the universe for 68,000 years from now, before even getting into uh, someone's electric field, some planets or galaxies magnetic field.
Mm,
So just imagine how small you are in the context of that thing that was built in our lifetime, or even before some of our lives. It's going to travel 60,000 years without being touched. Uh, we just have 70 years, 70 to 90 years to live, some people even less. Um, you have one chance to do whatever you want to do, I think. And yes, there are natural obstacles for everyone, but always think about how small you are. And um, and it's going to be, it is going to be difficult because you are a minute blimp in the universe, but you can always find something. And then when you're 90 years old, when you're dying, you just can't, you can say I tried. That's more than enough. You don't have to achieve. I probably won't achieve everything I want to do. I want to be the first person to climb Mount Everest, sail solo around the world, and fly around the world solo. I probably won't do it, but I'll probably in 2022 I'll finish one third of it.
yeah.
That'll be more than enough for me. Yeah, so uh, always try, always keep doing something. And if you think about it, there's nothing that is stopping you from doing it. Um, do it in a very small way, in your own way, which satisfies you, rather than going for the big thing.
Yeah, yeah. And look, I agree 100%. I mean, we can get, I guess, almost overwhelmed by these large goals we have, and being able to reach them. And it's those little steps in conjunction that basically add up, that get us to that point. I think it was, Muhammad didn't climb the mountain in a day. There's each step that has
Yeah.
to be taken to get that. And as much as you talk about, the destination, there's that journey that we have
Yep.
to go through. And that's where the living, that's where the being, that's where the experience really takes place. And so often, we think it's not the right time, or I'll do it when I'm XYZ. And at the end of the day, we don't know how long we have on this earth, and putting things off could very well mean that it never actually happens, or we never even try to make it happen, as it were.
Yeah, it's like right now when I'm preparing for this race sort of around the world, I'm learning so much because to save money, I'm doing all the work by myself to do this boat. But you know what is really it's giving me the skills to live on board the boat, and it's giving me the skills that once this race is over, I may make it to the finish, I may not make it to the finish, but I am very clear in my life that once this is over, I'm going to start living on a boat. I don't want a house to myself. I want to live on a boat, and I want to travel the world on that boat. and now I'm learning the basic skills of maintaining that boat and keeping the boat seaworthy to sail around the world by myself, leisurely, not in a race. And it's given me clarity to what I'm going to do after the race. And even if I don't finish the race, if I don't win the race, this is going to stay and it's going to make me happy. So yeah, it's things happen along the way. The problem is you have to get on the journey first.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wow. Right. Well, listen, hey, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story and your insight with everyone. And look, if you find yourself sailing down towards New Zealand, more than welcome to catch up, and you can spend a little bit of time on land with me if you're open to that, or perhaps I can jump on the boat and we can go for a little bit of a sail. Who knows? But yes,
All right.
look, thanks again for your time, and I do wish you all the best with the journey ahead. And I feel that despite what life may throw up at you, that you have created a good foundation and a good outlook on life to be able to overcome whatever obstacle you face. So well done to you.
Thank you so much for having me on board. Yeah, it's just small. Our life is small and the journey is long. So I think it's how you live it, and you have to keep memories. I think if you remember, I'm not going to take much of your time, but just say one thing. If you've seen the movie Troy, he's standing on the outside Troy and before the fight, and he says, "Why are you going on when you know you're going to die?" He says, "Because some of these men, they will die in battles, and their children will remember them after them. But when I die in Troy, I'll be remembered for generations." And you have to make a journey memorable. So, yeah, thanks for having me, and I hope this helps anyone who's listening, and everyone can reach out to me anytime. So, and I look forward to seeing you in New Zealand sometime.
That would be lovely. Thanks again.
Yeah. Thanks, Cam. Bye.
When do you sleep?
So I actually have what do you call it? A polyphasic sleep cycle.
Not
So
familiar with
I
that.
sleep like dogs. I
You
sleep
sleep.
like how dogs do. So dogs have polyphasic. That's why they sleep. Play, sleep, play, sleep, play, sleep.
Yeah.
Uh, so I have like 4 naps in a day,
Yeah.
short naps, and that's all. I don't have a long 8 hour nap
Really
at all. Yeah.
interesting. Is that because of what you need to do in order to be able to sail solo, or is it just something that you
Um,
had?
that's something I trained myself in 2013 and 14 when I was doing another round the world race.
Mm.
And I just kept on till then. And for me, it's like India is 12 hours away, so I'm awake most of the nights talking to folks back home.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, because I work from home now, it's even easier because now I can take naps very easily.
Mm.
I just block out 2 hours in my time and just take naps. And
Wow.
then right before this podcast, I was napping.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's you can look at a polyphasic sleep cycle.
Yeah.
It gives you 6 hours to 8 hours in a day, but it keeps you more fresh throughout the day versus um, someone like me. I'm a morning person, so
Mm.
I have like a big um, it's like 7 to 10 o'clock is my peak time where I
Yep.
get work done, and then
Mm.
it's 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock if I am on the. It's 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock again is my second wind
Mm.
if I have the normal sleep cycle, but
Mm.
now I generally have a longer period of sustained focus
Yep.
after the nap.
Yep. And do you do any sort of meditation or any other sort of exercise? No.
I
Interesting.
run when I can,
Yeah.
and like honestly, walking on the boat is meditation enough.
Yeah. 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 Fair enough. That's cool.
Like tomorrow, I'm going to go on the boat and I'm going to work 6 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
And I just get in there and I forget the world at some point.
Just get in the zone and go with it.
Like last Saturday, I was working on the boat and I hadn't eaten for 2 days. I was just working nonstop.
Oh, that's okay. I do a bit of
Yeah.
intermittent fasting, but I haven't gone 2 days.
I didn't go 2 days completely. I had a few
Yeah,
juice things in between, but not
yeah,
like no hard food or anything.
yeah.
And not consciously. I was just not. I was just so focused on the work.
Are you on LinkedIn at all?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Cool. So I don't tend to post on Instagram so much, but my main focus is sort of Facebook and LinkedIn. So I'll look you up on LinkedIn and just tag you in the post. So I'll be releasing this next Tuesday my time.
Okay.
So we're Wednesday today. So I guess it'll be Monday over there. And I'll put out on all the major like Spotify, iTunes, etc. Also on YouTube. And I do like a sort of 10-minute, almost like not highlight reel, but just a good piece of the podcast that I'll upload natively to LinkedIn as well. So people can kind of watch that as a bit of a teaser and then click through to watch the rest of the episode if they feel so inclined. So if you are happy to share my post or put your own post together, that'll be really good just to help that reach. And
yeah, I have a good fan following on Facebook, so I'll share.
I'm just thinking, I'm trying to remember if I have you mentioned the blog. I don't think I have your website. It might have been on the actual original podcast scenario.
It's my full name.com.
All right.
Gaurav
Cool.
Shinde.
Awesome. So what I'll do then is I'll put a link to that in the description. And do you want me to put it on the bottom of the video at all?
If you can, that'd be nice. And towards the end, if you can put it. That'd be nice.
Cool. Yeah, because what I'll basically have our names at the bottom, and I can just add a .com or something later on in the piece. And I'm thinking what else in terms of promotion. That's probably the extent of it.
If you make any teasers or posters or something, I'll be happy to share them everywhere. I have like 4,500 Facebook fans right now.
Oh, nice. Okay. Awesome.
So it will help.
Yeah.
And once I posted, I think even the race Facebook page, which has 36,000 fans, so he'll share it as well.
Perfect. Okay.
So get good reach. Yeah.
So how are you going in terms of getting on other podcasts?
I'm on those groups and seeing whenever there's something interesting or relatable. I just I've had a few interviews. I have 3 interviews right now, and none of them is published as yet. I think some of them are publishing in November and some in December.
Okay.
And yours is the 4th one right now.
Cool. All right. I'm just trying to think about other people I have spoken to who have their own podcasts where there might be some synergy. There's a guy I spoke to in the UK who's I guess his podcast is more specifically on men's mental health. But I feel like the adversity that you've sort of overcome might be good there, although you perhaps haven't been challenged. Well, how do I say that? You could possibly talk a little bit more around your earlier experience and stuff, and how that's kind of created a dynamic for you to work from, because I think
if it's mental health, like I've had issues too. I didn't speak about that on this one, but